flee. And then in terms of getting into stand-up, I was a big fan of Eddie Murphy's. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and my parents, being immigrants, wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor.
Yeah.
So I went that route for a while and studied political science at UC Berkeley, and then got into a PhD program at UCLA in political science. But when I was in my mid-20s, I realized you live once, and you should live your life for yourself, not for your parents. And that's when I dove back into stand-up and acting, and here we are 20 years later.
Wow, that's great, man. So, what would you say is like an example of something where you feel was like a career highlight, or what moment are you proudest of so far?
There's a couple that happened the past couple of years. This past year, I was asked to give the commencement speech at UC Berkeley, which was my alma mater, and I got to go do the speech. People can look it up on YouTube. I have a YouTube page, which is YouTube/Maz Jobrani, and it was in front of 45,000 people.
No shit.
And I got to speak for 30 minutes, and it was really amazing. It was definitely a career highlight.
Yeah.
And another one that I also have online is I got to perform at the White House a couple years ago and introduce Michelle Obama, and that was a career highlight as well.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. I wonder whether do you have any opinion about because there was certainly like a odd moment with the Kennedy Center honors where 3 of the 5 recipients this past year didn't want to go to the White House for the ceremony, and Trump finally just took himself out from attending the awards because he realized there's just a no-win situation. Obviously, do you think that anything's going to improve between how arts and sports, or do you think he's digging his own hole by maybe fostering, or not maybe fostering, definitely fostering the conflict with the NFL protests? With all his outrageous tweets. Do you have any idea whether you think it'll be worse or better in the rest of his term?
I can't imagine it getting any better unless if his handlers convince him to just be quiet and read the script, which he has been the past few days. He hasn't said anything about Judge Moore. They keep asking him, and he hasn't said anything. He's just been focusing on talking about taxes. He talked about his Asia trip. For the most part, I think he's stayed on script, and because of that, there's been some gaps, but it hasn't been as preposterous as in the past.
Yeah, I gotcha. So, and one thing I'd like to ask people, I have a different show on Titans called "Oh Man, That's Awful," and we ask people for like some of the funny, awful moments of their lives or careers, or if they overcame a particular thing. Do you have like a I guess with you, I would ask, was there like a most awful but funny moment of, maybe somebody saying something inappropriate to you that was, that was really uninformed or ignorant, and you were able to school them or throw it back in their face, like perhaps maybe from your background, like a heckler that was particularly rude that you were able to either school or just completely destroy from the stage?
Well, I'm not much of a insult comic. I don't really get that aggressive on stage. I tend to have fun with my audience, but there's been times. I mean, it's interesting because it's not always as eloquent as you hope it is.
Yeah.
I know that when we were going to war with Iraq, I was against that war.
Sure.
And so a lot of people, there was a handful of people that would yell things to me on stage, and I would come back with a comeback, and then they'd yell and I'd yell, and then the next thing you know, we're all yelling, and I would just tell them to get out.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, it gets heated sometimes, man. I think people just need to realize that we all have opinions, and if you don't agree with me, you don't have to stay. You just get up and leave. Our art form is one of the only art forms where it's quiet enough where people can yell back. If you were a rock star, it's really hard for someone to yell. But when you're up there with a mic, I guess people feel that they can, and you just you try to be pleasant about it, but sometimes you got to get a little nasty.
Yeah, no kidding. So, I guess before I let you go here, any thoughts about the current wave of accusations in Hollywood in general, and more specifically, if it's not too awkward for you, any thoughts about Louis C.K., or I don't know if anybody else has been busted in comedy the last few days the way that Hollywood has, but any thoughts about that whole phenomenon going on now?
Well, it's been pretty crazy. It's kind of like there's the term the casting couch, and so we've all been aware of this for years and
Sure.
years. But now it's coming out. I think it's great that women are speaking up. They should, and at the same time, I think that we should take each incident on an individual basis, and make sure that if somebody did something, there's different levels to it. There's the criminal level, which we've had people accusing guys like Harvey Weinstein of actually accosting them, or maybe the Judge Moore of dating 14-year-olds, which they're minors. So, I mean, we have issues there that we need to investigate, I think.
Yeah.
Then there's the moral level where you get someone like Louis C.K. or others that might have done something like today. Al Franken, it came out, was groping
Really?
that journalist on a USO tour years back. So, that's not criminal. So I don't think that he can be. I don't think he can be convicted for that. But there is a moral thing in there, and you would hope that those people would be apologetic. You would hope that those people would make amends somehow. I know that the damage has been done. I'm not surprised, though, as it comes out. It's like every day somebody new. I'm just hoping, like I said, it doesn't become a situation where any, encounter any man and women a man and a woman had, whatever, 20 years ago. Someone's going to say, oh, he looked at me in the wrong way, and now I'm speaking up about it. I mean, it's like, okay, at a certain point, we got to draw a line and go, what did this person do? Was it a criminal, or was it be just unethical or disgusting? Maybe it was just skeezy, and you go, well, the guy's just a creep. So I don't know, man. It's a crazy. I mean, my head is spinning every day. Is something new. So I really have not fully registered clear thoughts on everybody.
Yeah.
I think Louis writing the apology did a good thing to put it out there.
Sure.
I think Franken saying, if I did this, I did do this, and I'm sorry. That's a good thing. I think the first step is to take responsibility. I don't know with Judge Moore. I don't want to say he's guilty without, again, having 100% proof. But he seems to be, some of the things he said leads you to believe that he is, and he just keeps denying it. But he slips up. He says, "Oh, I never dated a girl without asking the mother's permission."
I know.
Well, how
What
old
is
were the
that?
girls, or are you just a gentleman? He was banned from the mall. Why was he banned from the mall? His lawyer was on the news with Ali Velshi on MSNBC, and he said, "I know that Ali, in your culture, that these things happen where older men are dating underage girls." And Ali was like, "Well, I'm from Canada. What are you talking about?" And he was implying that Ali, being of Indian or whatever whatever descent he's from, Indian, Pakistan, I don't know where he's from, but he was trying to imply that they do that there. And my response is, if that's your best defense, then you're in bad shape. So, yeah, man, it's pretty crazy and unfortunate.
Wow. Yeah. I guess there is one last thing I want to ask about on a lighter note. I don't know if you ever noticed, but okay, so you did a show a few years ago with I can't remember if it was produced by Ray Romano or with Ray Romano, or maybe he was the subject of the heist.
The Knights of Prosperity.
Yes, I loved that show.
Yeah.
Well, Denal Logue and a bunch of other guys. And anyways, the thing that's weird is, it's a great show. I don't know, is it available anywhere for people to find? Or do you know?
I think somebody told me they saw it on YouTube or maybe on Netflix. I don't know. The Knights of Prosperity. KNIGHTS.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is that if you go wandering around Los Angeles, there is, like, especially in the more kind of grittier edges of close towards Skid Row, you will come across many homeless people that are wearing orange shirts with cheesy white lettering called the Knights of Prosperity. And I was wondering if you have any idea, was that like some sort of leftover thing, like they would give away for
Yeah. We wore those T-shirts on the show, and I guess they gave them to like Goodwill or whoever. So I've seen a handful of homeless people wearing them. Pretty funny.
I know, it's so ironic that it's being worn by homeless folks.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, man. Well, hey, I want to say thanks for coming in and talking to me about everything going on in your career. Is pretty exciting, and I want to encourage people to go see you at the Ice House. You're going to be playing there Thanksgiving weekend, that Friday and Saturday, and just best of luck to everything. And check out the documentary and the special, the book, all sorts of stuff. And where can people find out about you or follow you?
At Maz Jobrani, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Maz Jobrani, MazJobrani. And thanks for taking the time, buddy.
Of course. Thanks, man. As always, I think the world of you. Thanks. Bye.
Be good. Bye-bye.